Daniel Newcomb was 68 years old and had been married to his wife Amelia for 45 years. Theirs had been a true love story. The two met in college after friends had introduced them. As soon as Daniel laid eyes on Amelia, he knew that he would marry her. Daniel was Amelia's first boyfriend, and she was known to tell friends and family that she was drawn to him by the snazzy way he dressed and his sky blue eyes. Everyone said they were the perfect couple. Daniel was funny and easygoing, and Amelia loved that about him. She could laugh for hours with Daniel, and Daniel loved to make his girl laugh. Even after all these years, he still called Amelia his girl. They'd gotten married after graduation, and they'd had their first child, a son, Trevor, within the next year. 2 years later, they had a daughter, Anne. They were both involved with the kids as they grew up. Daniel coached baseball and softball. Amelia baked cookies for every class event, was a member of the PTA, and would cheer their children on from the stands at every game. When the couple became empty nesters, they relished in the newfound time to spend together. Amelia loved to travel, and Daniel took up photography so that he could capture her lovely face and her amazement at every new and exciting adventure. The pyramids in Egypt, the Louvre in France, the snow in Norway, and the massive Grand Canyon. They were each other's best friends. They grew more and more in love as the years went on. Together they happily welcomed grandchildren, and they loved their family. Just a few years earlier, Amelia had taken a turn for the worse. She'd gotten Alzheimer's and was in the end stages of the disease. Daniel would wake up every morning and take his wife her cup of tea. "Hello, my girl. How are you this beautiful morning?" he'd ask. And occasionally she'd remember him, but those moments were becoming few these days. He had a nurse come into their home to help him take care of Amelia, especially for the particularly hard days when she would lash out at him thinking that he was a stranger. She would no longer let him help her dress or bathe. One day the nurse had brought a bell with her and suggested that Amelia ring it whenever she needed help. The bell was constantly ringing. Amelia was always forgetting what she needed when she'd rung the bell. Today, when she rang the bell, Daniel walked into her bedroom, and for a couple of minutes she was clear-headed. "Oh, Daniel, I've missed you so much," she'd said, and he sat next to her. "I've missed you too, my girl." And she reached up and put his face in her hands. "Your eyes, still as blue as the bluest sky. I love you, Daniel. I've missed you so." And as he was telling her that he loved her too, he saw her eyes turn dim again. And she asked if he knew her son Trevor. "Yes, I do," he replied. "Isn't he a nice young man?" she asked. And he replied that he was indeed. And then Amelia asked what time Trevor's baseball game was. "She's gone again," thought Daniel. But he was thrilled to have gotten the time he had. Just 2 minutes, and it had filled his heart. As he passed the nurse downstairs, Amelia started to ring her bell. 2 weeks later, Amelia was put to rest. She was surrounded by her friends and family. Even her nurse, who'd come to love Amelia too, had come to show her respects. The family had snacks and drinks served after the service at Anne's home. Everyone was telling Daniel their favorite stories about Amelia and how much she'd be missed and had blessed their lives. But Daniel was mostly silent. A nod here, at a half a smile there. His heart was broken. His girl was gone. Anne asked her father to stay at her house that night, not wanting him to be home alone, but Daniel said that he needed to be home where his girl had been. He couldn't bear to not spend the night in their bed, and so he went home. He slowly opened the front door, turned, and hung up his coat and his hat. He slipped off his shoes and loosened the tie around his neck. He walked in his kitchen to boil some water, and then sat at the kitchen table, his hands folded on his placemat, his eyes filled with tears. The water came to a boil, and Daniel grabbed a cup and poured the water in. And just as he was dipping the bag into the water, Daniel heard the bell ringing upstairs. Thank you for coming to my channel. If you enjoy my stories, please share the channel. Please subscribe. And if you'd like to like this story, leave me a comment. And I would love to hear what you have to say. If you would like to have a notification when content is updated, please go ahead and click that bell. It's down next to the subscribe button. I would appreciate it. Thank you.